Seriously, I am getting pumped the hell up. I mean, this season of Demon Slayer is taking all that excitement, that how did they make a fight last that long without it feeling padded or full of filler, and they're cranking it up even more than season 2, and that is saying a hell of a lot, and so far for me, it's only getting better each season, but seeing arguably, in my opinion anyway, the coolest demon we've seen. We've gone from, my opinion being, why is this scaredy cat demon upper rank? What? There's no way you could even be upper rank 8 with this personality. To me going, this is literally the coolest demon that could be the final villain for a lot of shows if you ask me. The possibilities of combining different personalities to different forms and just seeing the badassery, it kind of speaks for itself. Now, full live reaction to this wonderful Demon Slayer episode is available on my Patreon, so if you do want to see my full uncut thoughts, you can head on over there and consider supporting. But we gotta talk about this because I'm literally buzzing from this episode. I truly thought initially, like, okay, Mutro, he ain't getting out by himself because one, doesn't have a lot of air, and once he used up the remaining air, I mean, you can't do much in that moment. So I thought, I mean, based on our opening, we knew our girl was going to come in at some point and fight that weird snake beast, which finally gets introduced in this episode. But when you see this poor little bastard, he's stabbing, I was like, oh, you know, he's basically hallucinating and talking with a Tanjiro spirit. So if he's trying to get him to encourage teamwork, what would make sense is what if he attacks from his side, this boy attacks from that, and that's what rips it. And instead, they decide to introduce an even creepier fish that looks like it was pulled from Five Nights at Freddy's. And seriously, when he got stabbed, I was like, oh, it's bad, but he'll live. And then Mutro just had to rip the band-aid off saying, oh, that's a vital spot. I was like, you didn't need to do me like that. You don't need to just go from me saying, yeah, the kid's fine at the beginning of this arc, to going like, I'm actually really hoping he pulls through because I swear to God, you already crushed me last week with that Mother's Day special. You don't need to continue to hurt me in modern day. But this episode was pure passion. I have to give major credit. A lot of people, when talking about Demon Slayer, will talk about the animation, and I think rightfully so. But that sound direction, I think, deserves just as much praise. So when Tanjiro's going in with that flaming slice, right, he hits the neck, and it sounds at first almost like nails on a chalkboard / a chainsaw going off, a mixture of the scream coming from this creature, to then it feeling like his neck is so hard, it's like a buzzsaw going off, like a grinder. It feels like we can't cut through. And then when the big eruption happens and we see the boy behind him and he just launches him, the reason that scene was as immersive as it wasn't simply because the animation popped off or it had a really good art direction with some static shots. While that was important, the thing that tied that whole package together, that if Demon Slayer wasn't as careful with making OST and sound direction just as important as amazing voice acting, these scenes would feel a lot more flat and fake, but the sound direction goes hard. I really have to compliment that. Maybe people don't care too much, but honestly, if you put mediocre sound direction on an episode like this, I don't think people would be nearly as pumped up. They would probably say it felt good, but something was missing, and that would be what was missing. Though it was so cool because the cannibalization effect of how they detail it, you go from, okay, this doesn't feel like anyone we've seen before. Did they send another upper? What's going on? And we see Genya's perspective of what happened. So two of them, he just grabs their heads and it sucks it in through the hand to become what we ultimately see after then he grabs the last one. And the idea, this is why I say I really feel like in a lot of shows this could be the final boss. So in terms of having a scaredy cat demon, my initial assumption would be that he has a split personality, like, you know, his eyes would roll in the back of his head and a badass personality would take form. Like, think of Zensu in terms of like when he's asleep he's a lot more of a badass, and in his more cowardly form when he's awake. I thought something like that was what was going to happen. But the idea of being able to split your emotions into separate beings, while powerful when they're split apart, obviously it's not quite as strong as when you combine them together to see the badass before us. And when you can make me go, I love these characters. I want Genya to make it. I want Tanjiro to make it. Nezuko, all these characters I love. But when my initial thought is this character design is not only so badass, but the concept of this demon, it's hard for me not to root for the demon at least a little bit just so I can see what he does. And honestly, he lived up to expectations. He summons, and this is probably just because I'm playing Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, but anyone who's been in the depths in that game, when you're walking around, there's no light currently, and you stumble upon a boss fight, Like, this is the type of shit I would expect to find in the depths. Just like this giant wooden serpent, I think it was wood anyway. It's not only cool as a defense mechanism because he ultimately takes Stuart Little Demon Edition, wraps around in like the heads and basically makes a cocoon of safety for him. The fact remains, like, that's gonna be a cool fight. The opening already teased that it would be a cool fight, but ultimately seeing the little taste we did, not only was that enough to be kind of a death flag for these characters going up against a serpent, you then also have to deal with the demon that summoned them seemingly, and just that whole combination was nutty. And honestly, this is probably my favorite part of the entire Tanjiro section of this episode. It's the way the demon talks to Tanjiro. And what I mean is I love that in Demon Slayer, demons actually feel demonic, whether it's the way of cannibalizing your other selves to become the current one we see. But the fact that he literally calls out like, you're a piece of shit, Tanjiro. And I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? You're a demon. But I love the fact that they write it in a way that from the demon's perspective, you're bullying a helpless, crying little boy. Like, that's kind of what it looks like. And Tanjiro pretty much with his mouth open being like, bruh, how many hundreds have you killed and you're trying to lecture me for bullying a demon? Like, you guys are evil. But I love the fact that they're writing it as like, he's actually upset. Like, you're picking on my little brother in a way, right? And I think the fact that, you know, he asked like, did I kill your family? Well, no, you didn't, but you've killed others. He's like, well, then it has nothing to do with you. Even though I completely disagree with this demon's logic, you have to respect the fact that they wrote it in a way to make the demon feel like what he was doing wasn't all that wrong, and actually Tanjiro was the dickhead in this moment. I disagree with it, but that entire back and forth was really well done. And when it comes to Mutro's side, I mean, I love the fact whether it's Genya, Mutro, Tanjiro is just like the dad of the family. And I think this is what makes him such a rootable protagonist, is that the way characters go from either despising him, feeling like he's annoying, to going like, you know, they're thinking about him on his deathbed, basically. Like the fact that he gets through to so many people, and then to see the side by side, I think he said it was his father that his eyes reminded him of. Just the fact that Tanjiro is such a good leader. He may not arguably be the strongest character fighting in any particular scene, but the fact that this type of person is who would lead if current master kicks the bucket too soon, right? That's the type of person that inspires that level of confidence. And seriously, most badass moment in terms of like pure raw determination, that blacksmith, he didn't give a shit. He was so enthralled, and I love this. This is another moment I love with the demons, rather, you know, if you have a demon actually upset that you're picking on another demon, or the fact that they have these traits that had he just cut both of these characters down in the shack, he would have solved all the heartache. He would have had no more worries. But because he's an artist and he's twisted, he couldn't let it go that another artist, a craftsman, was turning his back on him, and even after hitting him multiple times, he wouldn't look at him. Rather than, as he says, I could cut them down easily, but it pissed him off that he let them live because he's trying to make him stop his work before killing. Should he have done it logically? No, but this demon be crazy, and any sort of serpent being coming in through the door looking like that, I don't expect to be the most logical, reason-driven demon, and I love the fact that they write the demons in this way. All this passion that I'm pouring out for Demon Slayer this season is complete, genuine reactions. I love what I'm seeing, I love the excitement and the worry and the wonder that this season is bringing, and the demons are so damn cool, and I love the main characters. Thoughts and feelings yourself though down below, drop a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. Be sure to ring that bell, of course, so you can get notified when I upload on the channel, and like I mentioned, we do have a full live reaction available on my Patreon if you're interested. And while you're there, you can also get a video shoutout like Gareth Green, Harry Truscott, Jeff, and Haruto Yuzuki are getting today. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.